Hello, everybody. This is Andrew Cooperrider coming at you, proprietor and owner of Brewed Coffee, coming at you to talk about the mandates here in Kentucky. What's going on with them? I know we hear some grumbling, some rumblings. I know if you've watched Andy's press conference, you certainly could be concerned about it. So I want to cut a video for you guys to kind of explain where mandates are at here in Kentucky, what you can expect, what you can't expect, and so on and so forth. So as I get into it, please hit the share button, let people know. Also as well, feel free to come by the coffee shop, go ahead and get some coffee. Also, in case you missed it, I'm running for state senate. You can check out Andrew, ANDREW 4KY.com. And you can check out that campaign site. But we're going to dig into where the mandates are sitting at here in Kentucky. I'm going to use some code words for any of those words that Facebook typically likes to hold back. So first, understand this. If we did not have here in Kentucky the Boone court case ruling that Chris Weiss went to bat for, one of those rulings, remember, people had said, oh, this is a useless court case. I've heard people say that before. If we didn't go for bat for that in Boone County, Kentucky would be a lot worse off than it is now. So to tell you, I'll tell you kind of what that means, and then also what to expect kind of moving forward. So right now, current quote unquote law, as you guys know, there was the Goodwood, or maybe you don't know, there was the Goodwood court case, as well as the SB1, SB2, and HB1 cases that dealt with that passed law by the legislator that then got handed up to the Supreme Court. So there was a hearing over whether or not HB1, SB1, or SB2 is law, and Judge Shepard had made a ruling on that earlier that put a stay on that being law, and then that went to the Supreme Court for them to hear it. Well, kind of near when they were doing it, you had the Boone County case. So there's a case a little bit ago that Chris Weiss did called the Speedway case. And in it, he was dealing with and talking with, some COVID restrictions that were occurring at the time. I said a bad word. That was the C word there that describes the current situation we're in disease-wise. You can't say that. You get downgraded on Facebook. So please hit the share button and help me stay up there. So anyways, he had a case going there. What he did is he did a refiling there. Richard from Beans was already on that case. And Richard from Beans, he did a refiling on that case because it's never fully dismissed to create the Boone County case that is right now what is causing Beshear to be a little held up on the mandates he wants to put in place. So the Boone County hearing was done by Judge Bergman. And in it, we had the state versus Beans, and Beans and Chris Weiss put forward a fantastic case with some experts. And one of them was Perry, a IH expert, and the other one was Dr. Molly Rutherford out of Louisville, who is a doctor. But when she had just her master's, she has her master's in epidemiology, used to work for Dr. Fauci, and would help him being prepared for his briefings. And what they talked about was the efficacy of the mandates of, Rutherford specifically talked about the efficacy of lockdowns and things like that. And Perry talked about the efficacy of MASKs. And the reason why those people were called is because the governor's entire defense to other cases on this has been that he has to have supreme authority, because if he doesn't, people will die, and his mandates have saved lives. That is his defense. So first off, SB1, SB2, and HB1 are duly passed law. It has not been ruled that they're not by the Supreme Court. And so what happened is the Boone County said those laws stand. They are the law. And on top of that, your defense of you're just saving lives doesn't work, because after listening to the experts and looking at the data, we can't determine whether or not anything you've done has actually saved anybody. And so for that reason, the judge ruled in Boone County that the governor could not make mandates, and that SB1, HB1, and SB2 would hold as law. Most famously in the ruling, and I encourage you to read it, the judge said that it appeared to him wearing MASKs was as effective at stopping what we're going through here as would be putting up a chain link fence to stop mosquitoes. That is official court documents here in Kentucky. The current legal standard that has not been overturned is that it is as efficient to wear those as it would be to put up a chain link fence to stop mosquitoes. So whenever people sit there and tell you here in Kentucky, well, they're working real great and everything else, I would challenge them to say, well, why is it then in court legally in the state of Kentucky? That is the official stance of the courts right now. Now, what happened with that case? Hold on one second. I gotta. That's some good coffee. You should get some from Brewed. Anyways, so what happened in that case? Well, what happened is the governor, as soon as that ruling got handed down, ran to the appeals court and wanted that ruling vacated. However, for the first time, the appeals court did something kind of positive in this fight. And what they did is they would not set aside Judge Burgerman's ruling. So it is right now appealed to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has also not yet. Now, the appeals court decided we would not overturn and put a stay on that ruling. So now it's to the Supreme Court. Now, they could, at any day, make a ruling that says they're going to, for the time being, vacate Judge Burgerman's ruling, but they haven't yet. And they also, and part of it is because they haven't made a decision yet on the SB2 and HB1 Supreme Court hearing that occurred a month ago, because that kind of ties in. Because if you want to say that the Judge Burgerman case out of Boone County is not to be held and isn't reliable, you have to first have a ruling in this other Supreme Court case. And so because that hasn't occurred right now, the governor here in Kentucky cannot enforce mandates. Now, the key thing there is enforce them. Now, some people, and I think it's worth arguing, and we'll see a court case about it, whether or not he can even make mandates if he doesn't enforce them. But what you will see here is the governor will perhaps make suggestions like he just did the other day, or he might try to make a mandate, but they will come in and tell businesses, or they'll things like that, but they won't actually enforce them, because if they do so without the Supreme Court weighing in, they will be in violation of the Boone County Court, which does apply to the entire state based on the clarifications that we have received from the judge on this matter. So we know that right now the governor cannot make a mandate. However, the Supreme Court could come in and decide to vacate Burgerman's ruling. If that's the case, then he would perhaps be able to. And I don't know if that happens or not, because once again, though, they've got the Supreme Court case that they have to work through. The other thing you may see is in order to argue he's not in contempt, what Beshear may do is try to make mandates and then try to say, well, these companies, these businesses didn't have what's called an HB1 plan. So, Brewed has an HB1 plan. I encourage you, if you're a business owner, and I know a few lawyers that can whip these up for you. Most notably, of course, is Chris Weiss for you. If you contact him and you're a business owner, he can whip one up for you. If you're worried about it, it doesn't cost much at all, is to get an HB1 plan. The HB1 plan, in and of itself, what that is in the HB1 law that was passed, it states that simply businesses need to have a quote unquote plan. So you have to have publicly available sources about what you're doing about the C, about what you're doing about C, including, what are you distancing? Are you sanitizing? Are you doing these things? And list off the procedures. If you have that and it's publicly available, you are in compliance with HB1. But like I said, I encourage you to go to an attorney and get an HB1 plan if you're a business owner, because what I could see the governor doing perhaps is coming in, creating a mandate, and then going around and enforcing against all these businesses that don't have HB1 plans. And then when the judge tries to hold them in contempt, the argument would be, well, they didn't have HB1 plans, therefore they have to follow whatever mandates I am making. I could see him doing that. And of course, he's not going to publicly come out and state, unless you have an HB1 plan, I can't enforce against it. Nobody's going to tell you that. So I'm telling you now, one thing you may, once again, and even though, and you may say, well, what if he doesn't do that? Well, I hear you on that. But even so, even if the HB1, SB1, and SB2 laws do get passed and held to be true, then you'll have an HB1 plan that you have to follow anyways. And remember, guys, you come up with the plan. That's why I love HB1 and what it turned into. It was a terrible bill initially, but it came very good very quickly with a couple of amendments. And the reason why I love it is it gives the ability for people to make a decision about the level of risk they're willing to take. You're able to know what the risk level of the business is before you walk into it, before you decide to eat there, before you decide to engage in commerce with them. You are freely deciding the risk level you are willing to take. That's what I love so much about it. And that's why I love it. I love it for that reason. But like I said, we could see him doing that, trying to claim, well, they're not even following HB1. And of course, nobody's going to tell you you need to follow HB1. So I'm telling you, follow HB1. If you start seeing new mandates coming out of the governor's office, go get yourself an HB1 plan, because as of right now, that law is what's being held. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm telling you, go to a lawyer and talk to them about HB1. And please, also too, as well, please share this. Share this out too, so that way anybody who owns a business or is operating in business knows about this in case these mandates get handed down. And the reason why I felt a need to do this is we saw him yesterday making noise about this Phi Beta whatever variant that we're dealing with right now. And of course, we all know this is an issue to be talked about, sure. And more importantly, what we know is that we've been in this now for a year and a half, and it is clear that the governor cannot be trusted to, on his own, be able to lead us out of this at all. It is clear he can't be trusted to be able to lead us out of this at all. We're still in it, and it's still becoming quite an issue. And you can say, well, that's because you can't make mandates or everything else. And that's the point. You shouldn't make mandates. Provide information. You can't lead the horse to water. And we're still under a declared state of emergency in the state. And I'm sorry, but if you can't clear up a emergency that's been going on now, what is it for what? We've been in a state of emergency now for what? 17 months, going on 18 months, a year and a half. You know, it should be able to clear it up. In fact, the other day he had indicated, he's very careful about his words, but he had indicated that the only reason why he has us still in a declared state of emergency is so we can receive the federal dollars from the government, because if he ends the declared state of emergency, then we wouldn't be getting in those federal dollars. And so he had said, I'm worried about if I end it, I won't get the money in, because of course he wants that money coming in, because we've all seen him doing his victory tours where he's talking about the amazing surplus we have, which is all coming from the federal government giving us more and more money. But because he never ended the declaration, it's still going. Now you could ask yourself, what happens if the Supreme Court rules that HB1, SB1, and SB2 are null and void? They're not good laws. They don't stand. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know. I mean, obviously he can make mandates again, and it starts going back into the courts. So this is why we got to be vigilant out here as we're fighting through this. We have to stay aware of what's going on and be prepared. I mean, what we're seeing, obviously, I mean, it is clear he would make mandates because we're seeing in the schools what they're doing with the children, and they're turning the children into a battleground, which doesn't make any sense. We posted a graphic the other day just covering, the amount of deaths in children, which is still 2 in the state, and how it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I'll leave that to you guys to be the judge. So I just want to do an update on what we're seeing over the mandates thing, what situation we're in. So if anybody, if he does make a mandate and he's enforcing it, look at the HB1 plan, look at what the Supreme Court's doing, stay aware, stay alert of where we are, and what we have going on, because that is going to be incredibly important. Pay attention to what the state Supreme Court is doing. And on Friday, there's a case in federal court being held here in Lexington that deals with whether or not there is even a state of emergency still in Kentucky. That is an interesting case. I have we'll see how it plays out. I'm interested to see how it plays out as far as the jurisdictional things go. I don't know if there's already been arguments in that case because we're fighting in federal court over the state of emergency in the state court. So I don't know what those arguments look like to see if that case can stay there. But I'm hoping it can. And I'm hoping we're able to rule that, hey, the emergency, it's a controlled health situation. I believe that's what they called it in Tennessee. And hopefully we can end up in that position. But that was just a quick update for you guys that I had. Please share it out. Please let people know so that way they're aware of what's going on. And also, too, reminder, I am running for state Senate. Cooper Ryder, 4KY, or Andrew, the number 4KY.com. You can go to either and check out the campaign, check out the platform, and share what we got going on. Thank you guys so much.